Warning, this series, while edited to comply with YouTube community guidelines, is about watching and discussing shocking and controversial films. Episodes may contain discussion and depictions of sex, violence, sexual violence, racism, homophobia, and all other manner of discrimination, as well as generally gross and disturbing content. Viewers' discretion is advised. So I gave you guys two pretty easy ones right in a row, so I think we gotta do something pretty gross. I still think this is gonna be like a fun episode. It'll be interesting at the very least. This is a film much maligned upon release. It was like lambasted by critics as just like one of the worst movies ever made. But in recent years, it's sort of been reclaimed by people our age as a glorious shitpost of a movie. I am talking, of course, about none other than Tom Green's directorial debut, Freddy Got Fingered.
Oh, shit. Nice.
Okay,
I've needed
hold
to
on.
see this.
So I figured out what the show is like for me, right? It's like we went to an amusement park, right? And I'm blindfolded because I have no fucking clue anywhere of what you're gonna fucking say. And unfortunately, I know this ride.
And that keeps happening too.
Yeah.
Because we keep hitting a point like, oh, I know what this is gonna be, and then it's like, oh, I don't know what this is. And Chris is like, I do.
And the problem is, like last time, I'm not happy. I'm happier than last time, in truth, but still.
I've needed to watch Freddy Got Fingered. That's just like such a topic movie.
Mm-hmm.
It has a reputation.
It absolutely does. This is going to be a very interesting episode. I saw it in high school, and I kind of hated it just because of, like, how gross and over the top it was. But even then, I admitted, like, the parts that weren't gross were, like, really, really funny. And, like, now I'm kind of desensitized to that shit, so I'm kind of interested to see how I'll feel about it on a rewatch. I might not hate it on a rewatch. I might be with yes, this is a glorious shitpost crowd.
I've seen the clip of him screaming and then jumping out a window, and that made me laugh.
Look, my humor is so goddamn broken. I found it funny the first time, but that's also, because I have a broken-ass sense of humor.
It kind of feels like the ultimate fuck you movie from what I've heard about it, but I can't.
We'll
But I
find out.
can't say for sure. I'm excited. Freddy Got Fingered is just one that I need to watch, and I might watch it and be like, well, I hated that, but but maybe I'll really like it. I don't know. It just sounds like something that I might like, considering some of the stupid shit I enjoy.
I'm not a juvenile delinquent.
Welcome back, sickos, to another episode of Sickest Shit You Ever Saw. I'm your host, Matt Presents, and in the box with me are my two co-hosts.
Hello, I am Makal.
You did it. Congratulations, you introduced yourself. Chris?
Yo, are you guys ready to get fingered? What the fuck is my audio? Holy shit.
And today we are watching a little film from 2001 called Freddy Got Fingered.
I feel like this is a movie that I could, potentially really enjoy and be ashamed of enjoying. But I kind of hope it's like that because I'd rather have a good experience than a bad experience. But I don't know. I've seen two clips from this movie that have made me laugh, and that's it.
Yeah, I mean, I said it already, but, I saw it when I was in high school. I hated a lot of the grosser parts, but the parts that weren't gross I thought were actually pretty funny. So, we'll see how it fares on reevaluation.
You know what's kind of funny about it, though?
What?
It's a movie where for years, if I ever hear anyone say something positive about it, I don't know if they're being serious or if it's gaslighting, it's one of those movies where I feel like you don't know until you see it, because I have no fucking idea if this could be a ridiculous movie that I get some enjoyment out of. It could also be I'm watching this and I'm just immediately like, oh, fuck you. Fuck you. Fuck all of you.
Little column A, little column B. I like to defer to the Lindsay Ellis's video on the subject. It was one she made back in, the nostalgia chick days, but it was the one that she was kind of like, this one I'm still proud of, this one I still stand by. She had Brows Held High on, And she asked him if this was like Dadaist nonsense, and he's like, nah, it's too coherent to be Dadaist, and it's too weird to be anything else.
You can kind of just look in this movie up. I will say, like, two people who are saying that the movie influenced them in a way is Tim Heidecker and Eric Andre, both of which I find to be very funny people.
Well, Tom Green very much is like the 2000s Eric Andre. He was like the first Eric Andre. His show, he had a show much like the Eric Andre show where he would just do crazy, destructive shit. And that was the show. The comparison is apt. Currently, this film is a bit of like a topic movie because it was recently added to the Criterion channel in a retrospective on the Golden Raspberry Awards. It was sort of highlights some like interesting films that have gotten Razzie nominations over the years. So of course it has to have like the two big reclaimed masterpieces, Freddy Got Fingered and Showgirls. Also has some on there that never should have been nominated for Razzies, like the fact that Quirrell was nominated for a Razzie really ought to have discredited them right then and there. Like, they clearly do not understand the film Quirrell. That is an excellent movie. I love that movie.
I've never taken the Razzie seriously.
There are other films on this list that I'm kind of like, Criterion, really? Like Cocktail and Barbed Wire? And most of all, Madonna's Swept Away. That movie is god-awful. It is an awful... I hate that movie. I hate very few movies. I hated Swept Away.
Damn.
That's sort of brought the discussion back around on whether or not Freddy Got Fingered is any good or not.
Yeah. I'm curious to form my own opinion about it during this one. I've heard about it for so many years, and I feel like aside from like a clip or two, I have so little to go off. I don't know anything about this fucking movie. Like,
if I may, can I be pretentious cheese for a minute?
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
Regardless of how we feel, it is kind of a nice form of art because we are still talking about it to this day, right? So no matter if it's good or bad, it is still high art.
Well, yeah, I mean, this was an era that was oversaturated with gross-out comedies like this one. But we're not talking about any of them. We all still kind of universally agree that, like, Fat Slags or Surf School or pretty much anything the National Lampoon was putting out back then is like, no, that's still disgusting. We still don't like that. Freddy Got Fingered, it's in the discussion for reevaluation. There's gotta be a reason that Freddy Got Fingered has made it, and these other films have not.
Before we get into this, though, I know that, like, YouTube doesn't, like, censor shit much, but, like, saying Freddy Got Fingered as much as we say it did, like, as much as we're saying it, feels weird. Like, if this was, like, a TikTok, it'd be Freddy got something, Freddy got pointed at or something.
I am fingered. I have 10 of them.
No, fingerprints.
I was thinking about that joke today when I remembered when Chris reminded me that I had to watch Freddy Got Fingered, because Chris and I are doing a podcast where we go through Better Call Saul.
Stop promoting other shit here.
No, go ahead.
And I was like, oh, I was excited to watch Better Call Saul, and then Chris reminded me, no, we got to watch Freddy Got Fingered. I was like, oh yeah, but I am curious. I have been very curious to watch this. I don't. Blind optimism, that's what I'll call it right now.
Fun fact well, not even a fun fact, more of a knowledge of me. I thought this was some weird, like, Nightmare on Elm Street porn. When I first heard the name. Well, let's get into it.
Let's get into Freddy Got Fingered.
So Freddy Got Fingered is a Disney movie?
Shut the fuck up! Does Disney claim this? Is this gonna be the next ride?
It's getting a Disney Plus series.
Matt, you didn't tell me this was a Cool Cat movie.
That's his cool cousin. His cooler cousin. Cooler Cat.
Why is Peanut Butter Gamer doing this?
Are you saying that Freddy looks like Peanut Butter Gamer?
A little bit.
That is not Freddy. That's Gord.
Oh. Freddy
Get
is
it
not the
straight.
titular character?
No. Well, Freddy is the titular character. Titular means he is in the title.
Okay,
he
I know.
He is not the main character.
Yeah, that's what I meant to say.
Tom Green is not Freddy.
He's supposed to be going to Los Angeles, right?
Yes.
Why the fuck would you give him a convertible?
Make your daddy proud.
You're gonna be so proud.
Proud?
Proud.
This kind of feels like modern internet humor in a way, like funny enough, because like just them like the heavy amount of like repeating the same line and dragging a bit on. That's like very much like online humor.
So I'm saying that it's ahead of the time.
Yeah.
Wow, this is great. I'm so happy that everyone can see this.
Wow, look at what is happening on the screen.
What was that? That took a second to register with me.
He continued to harass horses the whole way. Like Video Matt Presents. Can I make that joke? Is that okay? I'm sorry.
That was Video Matt Presents.
I know, but is that okay to...
Yeah, this is actually the Video Matt Presents movie.
Yes.
Alright, cool.
I don't know, it's at the other Matt's expense. I don't care.
Nah, yeah, fuck him.
You know what? This kind of feels
this is just
like...
letting your intrusive thoughts happen.
Yeah, I was gonna say, have you ever had like a thought like, just while you're like doing something really boring, was like, wouldn't it be fucked up if I did this right now?
Oh, hell yeah.
And it's like, obviously you would never do it, but it's like just the thought of like say you're at like a dinner party or at a store and you just decide to start punching product like in front of everybody.
Oh yeah, Tom Green was married to Drew Barrymore.
Oh, I knew she was in this because I googled it. I didn't know that
like,
they were married.
Was or is? Like they're no longer married? Okay.
Was.
Okay.
Were they married the year after this movie came out?
Yes. They were married for 6 months.
Okay, damn. Alright, damn.
I feel like you could get away with like airing this on Adult Swim at like 2 a.m., you know? I'm terrified of the premiere where this happened with like a regular movie going audience.
There's a lot happening.
This is just how Rip Torn actually is. In real life.
They just put a camera outside of his house.
He thought all of this was real.
Yeah, my record's 7 in a row.
Oh! This is why my videos are delayed, Michael. I'm doing this shit.
Could you keep it down? This is a hospital room and I'm pregnant.
Oh, I'm sorry, ma'am. I didn't realize that you were pregnant.
The dialogue in this movie is so good.
Man, imagine seeing this on a big screen.
He woke it up. Good. Now I know what to do if I'm ever in that situation.
Yeah, do that exact thing.
Oh, what are we, like 4 for 6 on births in these movies? I love that her 2 character traits are Flip Screamer and Rocket Scientist.
Look, you wouldn't believe how common that is, right? The idea of astrophysics makes sense with coffee flipping or creamer flipping. Come on now. Simple mathematics, come on.
Oh yeah, they always make the astronauts learn creamer flipping during the training.
Yeah, if you can't go off-world. Come on now.
It went into that underwater cave! Get out of that toilet!
The fucking music choices during these scenes.
So is this like his actual art, or like, is there some like artist behind it?
That's a good question. I will say it is, to me, very impressive that despite how weird this movie is, he was able to find other actors who could communicate the same fucking weirdness as him. Because I feel like acting like a fucking lunatic in your own way is not very hard to do. It's probably something you practice all the time, but getting other people to match that energy is fucking insane.
Always remember, follow your dreams, because if this could be made, you can do it too. Is this what boomers think that, like, millennials and Gen Z are doing all the time?
You hear that, Dad? You're gonna pay! He's a molester. He's a child! molester!
Fuck, man. Was this line, like, what the whole movie was built around? Was this joke just it?
Well, that's what it's named after, yeah. That's where the title comes from.
Wow, we had one really, really good scene, and then, like...
I kind of love that it can't keep a consistent tone.
Yeah, no, it can't.
That's really horrible. I shouldn't be laughing at that. It's the fucking music cues in this movie.
Michael, this is how you gotta sell Spiny to sing it.
I'm gonna write you a check right now, partner, for, I don't know, how's $1 million sound to you, huh?
$1 million. $1 million to make an animated series.
Yep.
This feels like a fucking Rick and Morty improv bit.
There was a rumor, I don't think it's ever been confirmed, but there's a rumor that this was like... That Tom Green was somehow contractually required to make this film.
That'd be beautiful.
One way or the other. He was definitely trolling and just like blowing the studio's budget on the stupidest shit. So it's kind of funny that his character in the movie also blows the studio's money on the stupidest shit.
I don't know, that's kind of genius.
The Buster Keaton of his day.
I love this music. No, it's not the time.
It's like they raided the soundtrack of every other 2000s movie and just shoved them all together into one film. Oh, this is a cool thing that we are showing on screen. Whatever's happening in the movie right now, it's pretty good.
You can say it was a climax.
It was the film's climax. You are correct about that.
And I'm sorry if you're ashamed of me sometimes because I do things a little differently, but I got that from you. Because you always do things your own way, no matter what other people think. Maybe I needed to do the same.
This is a very inspirational ending.
Yeah. He's covered in paint right now, by the way, the father.
Sure. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Elephant paint. Man, I was gonna quit YouTube, but this movie inspired me to continue. He'll be fine.
I'm okay! I'm okay, Daddy!
So him going, "I'm okay, Daddy," was added apparently because this movie would have received an NC-17 otherwise. All they added was the line that the kid was still alive. and they got to keep it.
Man, this song just fits this movie.
He name checks Tom Green in this. He had an explosion in that scene and saved it for like the bloopers over the end credits. Alright, what's the verdict?
God, I enjoyed myself. I laughed a lot at that. I don't know if I want to watch it again necessarily, but...
Well, here's the surprise, Michael. We're gonna watch this one again.
I don't know. I think hating that is probably the normal reaction to have, but I was laughing a lot. It just kind of like, it kind of caught me off guard enough to where I kept laughing. I wonder if it would still be funny on a rewatch though, because I feel like it got most of its laughs from catching me off guard. But there is something funny about the delivery in this movie. There's a very weird way of the characters delivering dialogue, especially the father. And I think that does a lot for it too. I also just kind of appreciate that it is so bizarre that it's kind of hard to get bored. Like, I don't really think that it drags on at all, because I feel like it just kept keeping me guessing. So that's where I stand on it. I put it on Letterboxd as a like 3.5 stars.
Michael, level with me. How many times are you gonna see a man in your life play with a horse penis? When will that ever... when will that not catch you off guard? There's got to be a point where we have to admit that that's always going to throw you a little bit off, even if you're prepared for it. It's just...
Well, what about you guys? What do you guys think of that?
See, I've seen this before. Only like this is my second time, but like I think it's funny. I think it's aged way better than we give it credit for, because this is just like people's humor now. I mean, a little less extreme, but like it's still it's definitely there, you know.
There's a lot of stuff in this movie I could imagine seeing like on an old Newgrounds animation, or even like on something that Adult Swim is doing to this day, and I kind of see the inspiration that people like Eric Andre and Tim Robinson, I kind of see how they would take inspiration from this. Not necessarily with the gross out, but with how abrupt some of this crazy shit is. Like, it just... there's something with the pacing that feels very modern.
Yeah, no, I got a lot of laughs out of this. I thought this one was pretty funny, actually. And, like...
Yeah.
I don't know, I think I'm kind of surprised how desensitized I was to the gross stuff. Like, there was very little in this movie that I was even, like, that grossed out by.
I think the thing is that, like, the funny thing about this is the gross out is, like, just on that fine line. It's just, it's more weird than gross. Like, it's not, like...
because it always just comes out of nowhere.
Yeah, like, I think, in truth, Caligula had a grosser scene that made me feel more queasy. I don't know, I feel like this one isn't, like, it's gross, yeah, but, like... I don't know, it doesn't go too far, which would not be said by a normal person.
The gross out humor didn't bother me at all in this, and often it does bother me, but I don't know, there was just something, I think for a lot of it, it just didn't look real. Like, probably the grossest thing in the movie, to me, would be him biting the umbilical cord in half. But it doesn't look, it didn't look real at all. It looks like he's biting on, like, fucking jerky or something, you know?
What I really love is the fact that the movie ends, like, with the father and son kind of being friendly to each other. Because, like, I think I would be mad for the rest of my life. I would be very mad if my child did what he did, and I'm gonna leave it there, because this stays up on the internet forever.
I think their reconciling is completely a joke. It's like, after all of the shit that has happened, it's like, oh, Dad, I always loved you. I'm proud of you too, son.
They do that, like, several times in the movie, though, where they just bring up it's like it's making fun of resolutions that so many of these movies have, because he delivers I'm bringing up the baby scene again, he's, like, swinging it around on the umbilical cord to wake it up, and this whole time, before he's even doing anything wrong, this woman is screaming at him, like, first to tell him to shut the fuck up, but then, just because just naturally, he's waving her baby around, and then and then he hands it to her and then starts playing this sentimental music. He's like, thank you so much. Like, it's just a complete 180. Like, they do shit like that throughout the whole film. It feels like a very sarcastic movie. Like, it feels like the entire thing is just making fun of... I mean, you called it at the beginning of the movie, that making fun of comedies. Like, a lot of comedies that have to have, like, a super wholesome scene at the end of it or something. Like, it feels like it's mocking that so hard. And I think that... even though I guess I kind of take back me saying a lot of it is just, like, in the shock, because I think I would find that funny no matter how many times I saw it. You know, there are scenes in this movie that are just, like, it just feels like it's so sarcastic that it is legitimately funny to me.
Yeah, no, it plays around with, like, tonal whiplash a lot in a way that's fun.
You know, I like to talk about movies that couldn't be made today, and I don't think that the shockingness is what wouldn't be made today. I think the fact that no company would just fund a movie like this today.
Like, even more conventional studio comedies have kind of stopped being a thing, and this feels like they asked Tom Green, they're like, hey, Tom Green, you're a popular comedian, make a studio comedy for us. And he made the most unhinged thing he possibly could, just to fuck with them.
And I love that, and I think that's, like, honest to God, it is like it's a better approach than what a lot of people do, because I think of some of, like, Trey Parker or Matt Stone's movies where it's like, you guys are funnier than this. And it's like, if they would have just, I don't know, I feel like if you do just make a completely unhinged movie like this, you're probably gonna be very unappealing to general audiences, but you won't be forgotten, like, the next day, and you will find your audience, I feel. And Freddy Got Fingered certainly did find its audience, even if it took a while.
Yes. No, I think that this just aged way better, because this is just what the humor is today on the internet.
It makes sense that people did not like it. it makes
Yeah,
sense that normal
no,
audiences didn't respond well to this. But at the same time, it also makes complete sense that people are coming back to it and being like, no, this was like an insane comedy.
I can think of like maybe 2 or 3 family members of mine who would like this, and the rest of them would fucking hate it. Like, the rest of them would fucking hate it. Like, it's... me and my dad have a lot of, like, similarities in our senses of humor. Like, our senses of humor clash often. This would be like me trying to show him Smile and Friends. He would not get it. He would not enjoy it.
Before you do that, though, you have to string up, like, sausages to a piano on your fingers before you show him this movie, and then do that, and then show him the movie.
That scene also made me laugh so fucking hard. I don't know why, though. It's just... The scene that I saw on YouTube years ago that made me laugh was the scene of him calling his dad a child molester, then jumping out the window, but screaming before he jumped out. Just because it's like... It's just such a... Oh my god, it just... Yeah, I don't know. I don't know why that's funny, but it is.
So, the sausage scene, I didn't actually, like... This time I didn't laugh at it until you started laughing.
I kind of noticed that.
Because it's your amusement of that.
I don't know.
Me so much.
I don't know why. It's just like such a crazy visual. There is a joke though. There is there is a setup there where he's saying I can't do all 3 of those things at once because he interpreted play music as he has to play the music himself. So there is a bit of a joke there, but then it just immediately goes back to being his bullshit with all the sauce. Like that's not even a practical way to eat the sausages. That would be you wouldn't be able like there's no way for him to send them over to him. He just hung up a bunch of sausages.
Like, don't get me wrong, it's a funny joke. It's just your amusement amused me so much more than the joke.
I love the fucking music cues in this movie too. Like there's scenes that would not be funny if it wasn't for the music that they chose to play.
Yeah, I mean, some of it, you're like, okay, I guess this kind of fits the scene. And then sometimes you're like, why are we playing this over the scene? And other times it's just like a completely like random song choice. And it really helps with like the tonal whiplash of the whole thing.
I know. I feel like when I've like edited videos in the past, if you look at some of my like weirder like because I often do just film stuff with friends like us hanging out and then I'll do like weird edits with them and I'll play music over that. I get that vibe sometimes of just like what music would play funny over the scene, and you can kind of just get a feel for that. Even it's like kind of this isn't gonna make sense to most people, but it works for me. It's gonna make me laugh, so I'm gonna put it in there. And that's very much the vibe I got with a lot of the music choices in this movie, a lot of the music cues in this film.
Yeah.
I am convinced that everything in this film is something that made Tom Green laugh. And when you make a movie that is only for you and your sense of humor, sometimes it's gonna work and sometimes it isn't.
I think my favorite scene isn't even in the movie, it's in the credits of where he goes, what the fuck are we doing here?
A fun peek behind the curtain at one of our other shows. Michael and I do a podcast called Hollow Victories, right? We started this like late 2021, mid 2021, but I actually had the idea back in like 2018, 2019 near the end of college. I just didn't have anyone to do it with. But back then I wrote down a bunch of ideas for episodes, and most of them we have ended up doing. One of them I had written down on the old list though was Pink Flamingos versus Freddy Got Fingered. Just because they're like infamous gross out comedy films that are kind of respected for how out there they are.
I do think I like this more than Pink Flamingos. If I know that this isn't Hollow Victories, but I do think I would.
Now it is
for this.
Yeah, impromptu Hollow Victories. I think I liked this one better than Pink Flamingos too. Like Pink Flamingos kind of drags in places.
Yeah.
This is just like balls to the walls the entire time.
This might be my favorite thing that we've watched on the show. But the thing is, I think Caligula is genuinely a pretty good movie. I just think that it's like, I don't know, maybe it could be like edited down a little bit. It's also not really supposed to be funny at all. I mean, there's like a little bit of humor in it, but Freaks and Caligula, I think, have like more integrity. I think they're films with like, there's more value to get from them. They're better made movies. There's more to them. I think Freddy Got Fingered is the most enjoyment I've had out of any of these so far.
Look, I feel like there's a lot out of this one. You know, you could say that, but I feel like there is a lot you could take out of it.
Probably, but I don't know. It's just... from an entertainment point, I really enjoyed this. I'll admit, I think it's weird how much I enjoyed that. I also will say, like, with everything I've heard about this movie over the years, I will say, like, I almost expected something a little worse in terms of, like, the gross out. Because I feel like the gross out was spaced out in 2. It just didn't bother me that much, but like, Pink Flamingo genuinely grossed me out. Caligula even grossed me out in a few scenes. I know that gross out isn't the only thing that we're factoring in here, but just in general, those were both movies with gross out in them. Serbian film certainly grossed me out.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Freddy Got Fingered, I don't know, like, I was just like, I handled all of it well. I mean, even that fucking elephant scene at the end, it's so, like, over the top gross out that honestly, to me, it just kind of looked like the guy being sprayed with paint. Like, it didn't really gross me out even a little bit. I actually think the shot they played in the credits was worse than anything in that regard, at least.
Normally I like to be like, oh man, I don't see where people would have been outraged for this at the time or whatever. But for once, right, I kind of see it.
I don't even know that people were, like, offended by this movie necessarily. They just didn't like it. And I mean, I guess there's, like, a little, like, oh, it's so gross and that's why I don't like it. So I don't know. I think it's fair to say it was controversial.
Yeah, like, if somebody's offended by this movie, I completely understand. But I feel like it's definitely trying to.
Yeah.
But making this movie, it kind of has to be controversial.
Yeah.
Normally, when it comes down to talking to film people always go, oh, I want to talk to the director. The person I want to talk to this time, if I had the chance, is the fucking accountant or the person behind the funding of this movie. Because I want to know what the fuck and how the fuck did you guys fund this? What was the thought process while they were asking you to do this? Like, imagine being on the, like, in the room, in the accounting room, and they're like, hey man, we gotta find a stud farm. Why do we have to find a stud farm? Do we need you to ride a male horse? No!
I am almost kind of curious that they, like, knew exactly what they were getting themselves into with that too. Like,
I would love it if they didn't. That'd be great.
They obviously didn't, but I wonder if they knew while the filming was happening.
They kinda had to.
I think if they knew entirely, like, what the outcome of this film was going to be, I feel like if they got to, like, see a future screening of it, it just wouldn't have been made. Because it's not like it was a success either. It's not like, oh, against all odds, it was a success. I mean, this movie flopped really badly, didn't it?
I don't think it flopped that hard, but it definitely did not receive, like, a very positive reception upon release. Budget of $14 million, box office of $14.3 million.
Okay.
Which, that's not a bomb, but they definitely lost money on this.
It's not good, it could be worse.
They lost a lot of money, but they made more than I thought.
They made back their budget, but there's other money in these films besides the budget, so they definitely lost something making this. Well, until next time, for my co-hosts, Michael and Chris, I'm Matt Presents, and until next time, get more out of life. Watch a fucked up movie.
There is no cock like horse cock. Rub my dick inside a sock. Don't stop now, horse cock. Stretch out my insides and make me brave.